Hello and welcome to coverage of the first ever virtual inter-service road race championships for 2020. This year was the turn of the Royal Navy to host, and they really have managed to pull an awesome event out of the bag at short notice and in light of the current COVID-19 situation. Now Zwift is being used as the platform to stage the event for both the men and the women's championships. Now, looking at the course profile for today, the race is going to be 70 kilometres long and it's going to be run over 3 laps. Now, on each lap, the rider is going to take in the Volcano KOM. Now, this famous climb is about 3.8 kilometres long and with an average gradient of 3.2%. It maxes out at approximately 8.8% in places, namely right at the very top. So it really is going to start to take its toll on our riders after the third time up there. And they're going to see an elevation gain of about 126 metres per climb. So it really is going to be a testing ride for our riders today. So here we go at the start of the race, and you can see here now that we're riding with Danny Headley. Riders all start together. They start from their pen at the start, and then the flag's raised and all riders start off in a runner. Now, as you can see from Danny's power figures in the top left-hand corner, he's having to put out a considerable amount of effort at the start here. Now, all the other riders are doing exactly the same thing, and it's to try and sort the strongest from the weaker riders and get your position that you need and that you want to be at the head of the race, where it's arguably easier to control your efforts. Now, as you can see, Danny is still putting out some big numbers there just to stay with the rest of the group. And he'll have to maintain that for the first sort of 2 or 3 minutes until things start to settle down a little. Now, in the race today, we've got 12 RAF riders, all riding under the guidance of Ross Mallon, who is the team manager. And the other 11 riders there are listening in to the chats on the Discord channel as they coordinate their efforts in today's race. And now we're joined by Ed Kalo. Now, Ed is no stranger to racing. He did so before joining the RAF. He's an experienced racer and finished third in last year's RAF Championships.
Hi, Flying Officer Ed Kalo. Been in the RAF for a year and a half, and I'm an engineering officer on 71 Inspection Repair Squadron, RAF Wittering. I first started cycling when I was 15, and I started racing when I was 20 after making the move over from running. Last year is my first year racing for the RAF, came third at the RAF Road Championships. It's definitely a result that I hope to repeat again in the future, and I really want to place highly representing the RAF in other races throughout the year. COVID-19's affected my racing season and my training because there's been no races and I haven't been able to get outside and train with groups. However, I've been supplementing both of these with Zwift, which have been keeping me motivated and keeping my training on track. The association's been really great at helping organise regular training and racing meetups to facilitate this. The sponsors has also helped me this season by providing me with kit to race in, and I really can't wait to get back out on the road representing the RAF.
And here we go on the first time at the climb, and we're riding now with Kai Timothy, who's a firefighter in the RAF, currently out on deck in Cyprus, enjoying quarantine while he's out there and settling in. So as you can see from the top left-hand corner again, Kai is having to put in some pretty big efforts to stay with the group going at the climb, and you can see that his avatar there is getting out of the saddle, demonstrating how hard he is pushing. Another indicator of just how hard these riders are pushing, as you can see in the top left-hand corner, a good indicator of that is their heart rate. Kai is pushing up towards sort of 180 beats per minute now. That's pretty hard going. And that's just to stay with the other riders at the front of the race. So they really have got to dig deep up some of those percentage increments that I mentioned earlier, up to 8.8%. So it really is hard racing. And now we switch action to the Women's Championships. And here you can see that we're riding with the RAF's Lou Pearson. Now, this is the the first time up the climb for the ladies, and in the ladies race they complete 2 laps of the same volcano circuit as the men, so this will see them take in approximately 45 kilometres. Now, as you can see, the first time up the climb, this is a fairly steady effort. It's strung out single file, and you can see that the ladies having to put in a fair bit of effort there just to stay in contact with the rest of the group. You've got the army at the front there leading the way, and the RAF riders sitting in the wheels there trying to conserve energy and not peak too soon up this climb. But they're looking good so far, with still a fair bit of the race to go. And now that we've seen her in action, let's talk to one of the most experienced members of the women's team, Lou Pearson.
My name's Squadron Leader Lou Pearson. I'm a training officer in the Air Force. I've been serving for around 13 years, and I'm currently working at Air Command, designing a new risk management system for the Air Force to use. My bike riding started off in 2002 following a track and field injury. That brought me into my love of mountain biking, and since then I've been racing and riding both mountain bike and road at inter-services level, achieving wins a number of years on the mountain bike and achieving my elite licence nationally mountain biking in 2018. Sadly, due to deployments that year, I was unable to race, and injury last year has meant that this is the first year I'm back on the bike for 2 years. It's an honour to have been selected for the inter-services this year, and it's due to COVID-19 that I've had this opportunity. My training has been somewhat intermittent, I think is the best description, for the last few years, and COVID-19 has given me the opportunity to train using Zwift and find a little bit of consistency, finding some strengths back on a bike. It's a real honour to have been selected this year, and I hope I can do the team justice.
And now we speak to our very own lightweight super climber and experienced racer, Adam Baker.
Hi, I'm Corporal Adam Baker. I've been in the RAF for 11 years. I'm an intelligence analyst, currently based in America, in Virginia Beach. I'm back in the UK now for 4 months on deployment. I'm currently quarantining for 2 weeks. I've been riding my bike forever, but I've been racing for 5 years, mostly in America. This year, obviously due to COVID-19, I've had to change my plans. Lucky enough, I've been able to go onto Zwift and get plenty of racing in. The association has been really good. We put on social rides and other races to help us get through these times. I'm really happy to have been selected for the Inter-Services E-Road Racing cycling team. Hopefully we can help the RAF win for the first time. I'd like to thank the sponsors, for example the RAF Central Fund has enabled me to buy this turbo trainer, which obviously keeps me being able to train throughout the year. Yeah, thank you.
Back to the action now, riding live with Adam Baker, and you can see he's looking pretty comfortable there as they ascend up the volcano. Just over halfway in race distance now, and he's comfortably in the front group there. And now we talk to experienced inter-service racer Subo.
Hello, my name's SAC Susan Bow. I'm a supplier up at RAF Lossiemouth, working on 2 Squadron at the moment. I've been in for about 5 years, and I've been cycling a little bit longer than that, about 6 or 7 years. My main goals for this year would just be to kind of see where my legs are a little bit after kind of having a couple of years out. So Zwift has given me a great opportunity to still race and still train during lockdown and just kind of enjoy riding my bike with other people, whereas we've not really had the opportunity to do that on the road much, especially up here in Scotland.
Back to the action now in the Women's Championship as we approach the end of the race. And here we can see the RAF's Vicky Williams in a bit of a three-way sprint against some Army riders for the finishing position here. You can see the riders' avatars getting out the saddle as they put in massive amount of efforts as they cross the line there. And now we ride with Fee Padbury and Sue Bow, and you can see them both here coming in towards the finish, putting in a last dig just to stay in that group there with the other Army and Navy riders. Just a moment ago we saw Vic Williams finish to a credible 8th place in the sprint finish, and just behind her was Vicky Webb as well, who finished 11th. Sue and Fee here both sprinting for the line in what's been a really, really tough race for all the ladies. They've done extremely well here at the finish. And now we ride with Lou Pearson and Sarah Toms. Now the two RAF riders here have stuck together with each other, and they're just riding out the final throws of the race together for a bit of company. And as you can see, there's a little bit of friendly rivalry between the two RAF riders here as they spar between each other to try and get the better finish between them. Now just ahead of them we saw Sue Bow and Fee Padbury finishing 15th and 16th respectively, and in between those riders and the two we have here was Sammy Rose finishing a very credible 17th place. And not too far behind as well are RAF riders Demi Rossell, Tina Hartwell and Jen Burns making up the lineup for the RAF. So back to the action in the finale of the men's event, and we ride now with Rich Hunt from the Army as he puts in a huge attack off the front with about 9 kilometres to go now to the end of the race, and he really is putting on the pressure here as we get towards the end. And we go back to RAF riders Adam Baker with Steve Young and Ed Kalo. Now these guys are just behind, a few seconds down on this attack from Rich Hunt in a very much slimmed down group as they climb the volcano climb for the very last time. And these guys are really on the limit now, trying to stay in the wheels as best they can to conserve energy for that final sprint finish. Obviously it ain't over yet and there's still a fair few kilometres to go, so it's all still to play for as they all play cat and mouse. And back to the attacker off the front, Rich Hunt from the Army, who has now extended his lead by a few more seconds now as he's gapped the rest of the field. There is one other rider trying to close down the gap here, and that looks like a fellow Army rider with a Navy rider following behind. And back to the RAF riders in this chase group here, we have Adam Baker, Ed Kalo and Steve Young. And these guys here haven't got long to go, looks like 2 kilometres to go, and the gap is only a few seconds. So have they got what it takes to close that gap? Only time will tell, as these guys really are pushing the limits of what these guys can do on a bike. Now, it's not long to the finish, and it's a little bit of a strategic game here as they watch the other riders from the Army and Navy trying to work out how to play it come the final few metres. And here we have a stunning attack from Steve Young in an attempt to bridge across to the leaders in this race as he enters the last kilometre, pushing out over 1,000 watts here to try and close that gap. And behind we can also see Ed and Adam doing exactly the same, playing their cards right in the last kilometre against the Army and Navy riders who they are riding with to try and do them on the line.
Hi Ed, thanks for joining us. You were 9th overall in the inter-service race, 3rd RAF. How was the race for you? Can you talk us through it?
Yeah, so it was quite tough. Stayed together for quite a lot of the race, and then it was on that last lap leading up to the climb where it all really started kicking off. I was covering attacks from Army and Navy guys, and then on the climb managed to stick with the group, and it was when Bevan went to catch up to Rich Hunt that things really kicked off. Managed to keep it together with Adam and Steve on the descent, and then it was when Steve attacked from our group that I decided to let him head up the road, let the Navy and Army guys in the group try and chase him. And then it was, cramped up towards the end of the sprint. But, I felt like I put everything I could into chasing the earlier moves down. So, good race for me, I think.
Well done, mate. So, where do you think the race was won and lost?
Definitely on that final climb. I think the Army had kind of softened us off a bit. And then Bevan went, and he's just massive performance from him and quite hard to chase him down. But even then, I think the fight for the slightly lower down places took place on the descent just after when Stevie went.
Awesome, mate. Have you got any further comments here about the team or anything?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everyone, all the guys in the race, not just the top three. Everyone put a shift in, even after getting dropped. Guys are still pushing hard, and I'd like to thank them for all the graft that they put in throughout the race.
Brilliant, Ed. Thank you very much, and well done for today. Hey Stevie, thanks for joining us, mate. You were 4th overall in the inter-services race and the first RAF over the line, so congratulations. What did you make of the race?
Yeah, I'd like to say it was a fun race. But not too sure if it was a fun race or not. I mean, I guess being one of the most experienced Zwifters within the RAF setup, having seen what the course was going to be like, it was always in the back of my mind that it was never going to be a sweet, fun race. But then again, it's the inter-services. We all know what the inter-services brings, nevertheless what the format is, whether it's outdoors or indoors or whatever it may be. It was a tough race. It was a battle, an expected battle. But I think given the course itself, I think that was more of a challenge to what a lot of the riders were facing. And I think that was quite across the broad spectrum as well with the other services, that this wasn't going to be any sort of pushover race, Army versus Navy versus RAF. It was taking on the course, and it was also mindful of actually this is an inter-services on a tough course. So all in all, it was a difficult race, but representing your service, it was made to be fun and be part of that setup.
Awesome, Stevie. So where do you think the race was won and lost?
The race, obviously, with the big 3 climbs up the volcano, the race was always going to be dictated on one of those climbs. The first climb was maybe people were being a bit reserved. It was a race that you could almost guarantee something would happen on the 3rd time up, depending on how many people were fresh, how many people were there at the end. We always know that the Army are going to be dominated by numbers. So we have a game plan. It was clear the Navy had a game plan as well. But the race was definitely broken up on the 3rd time. The Army had a rider, Rich Hunt, off the front, that we were aware about. But this is Zwift. The game dynamics doesn't allow for a lot of the stuff you see outdoors. And I gave the call to the team to leave him out there, knowing that on the descent that potentially a 20-second gap is easily made up. Nevertheless, good friend James Bevan from the Army decided to break away with another Navy lad, Alec Jones. We try and go with that move? Were we being a bit reserved? Probably not. Like I said, it was a difficult course. It was man versus boy on that last climb. So the race was definitely won halfway up the last climb. James Bevan, a good friend of mine, knows the game dynamics now, and he was one most definitely to watch. But again, I've seen it before hundreds of times on that course. I've seen riders a minute off the front of that climb and being caught a K before the finish. So I relied on my experiences more than trying to bridge what could potentially ruin a best chance for the RAF to win the inter-services. So the race was won quite significantly on the last sort of climb halfway up. I tried to do something at the end to try and pull something back. I think I got the gap back down to about 3 seconds
on the line. Yeah.
So it was maybe another 100 meters. James spoke after that. We were closing that gap in, and it was twitchy bum time. It was getting tight, which is why you saw some orange numbers light up in that sort of last 600 meters. And there's no two ways about it that the three in front of me, it was tweaky bum time for them to get across the line. They could see me homing in, but it was definitely one on that climb.
Awesome, Stevie. Right, thanks very much.
And there we have it, the results from the men's inter-service championships, with the Army taking the top spot there on the individual and the team, with the RAF picking up an excellent second place team effort there. Riders such as Dan Watts, Tom Johnson, Danny Headley, Ian Lewis, Tobias Jones, Nick Monroe, Tom Whitworth and Ross Mullen completing the lineup for the men's team. And there we have the women's results, with the RAF ladies taking the second place team. And excellent results all round for all riders, male, female, in this first ever virtual inter-service road race championships hosted by Zwift, and this year run by the Royal Navy. Thank you all for watching, and we hope to see you all again in the next running of these races. Thank you for watching.